Hi, I'm Tom R., and welcome back to the stories Jesus loved to tell. Today we're looking at a parable that is found in the 25th chapter of Matthew's Gospel. So let me invite you to pause the video now and to read Matthew 25, 1 through 13. When you've finished reading, come back and we'll start the conversation. The last word in our worship service at Village each week is a charge to live toward God's promised day. Invite Him to think about whether we are living toward anything or not. It's a question of great debate in our time. The question is, does life really have a purpose? Does it matter, or is it just an accident of some sort? To use the gospel language, the question is, are we really living toward God's promised day? Is this kingdom, which Jesus talks about all the time, is it something that is real and which we can trust? Some folks would suggest that's foolish. It was Shakespeare's Macbeth who declared, "Life is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing." These days, there seems to be more confidence in Macbeth than in Jesus. And it's easy to believe that we're on our own sometimes, that God has left us, that there's no ultimate promise or purpose. One reason it's easy to believe that is because we know ourselves. The novelist Barbara Kingsolver, she remembered a moment in her childhood when she was sitting in her mother's lap and her mother was crying. But she was saying, "Thank you, honey, thank you." Kingsolver said, "I brought you flowers. The sweet peas you must have spent all spring trying to grow, training them up the trellis in the yard. You have nothing to work with but abundant gray rains and the patience of a young wife at home with pots and pans and small children, trying to create just one beautiful thing, something to take you outside of our tiny white clapboard house on East Main. I climbed up the trellis and picked the flowers, every one, to bring to you. They're already gone, wilting in my hand as you hold me close and your tears are damp in my hair and you never say a single thing but thank you." There's enough of that child in me. Even in the moments when I'm trying to be my best, there's a failing, a disappointment, even a shadow side. The gifts that I bring are wilted. I know myself well enough to question God's promises for me and for the world. So who do we trust about history and about ourselves? Jesus or Macbeth? Is life really journeying towards some ultimate purpose? Or is it just an accident, signifying nothing? It's to this question that Jesus tells this parable of the 10 bridesmaids. They're all exactly alike, except some are wise and some are foolish. Now, being wise and foolish is not about being smart. The wise brought oil for their oil lamps. They knew that the lamps wouldn't burn without oil. You don't have to be smart to know that. You just need to trust that someday you're going to need to burn that lamp. We don't know much about wedding customs of Jesus' day, but apparently the groom of this story has gone off to another village to secure a bride from the next county or some such. And it's the bridesmaid's job to wait at the edge of the groom's home village, to wait for him to return with his bride. And then they'll join a celebration processional as the groom brings his new bride home. So while the bridegroom is away, the bridesmaids wait. It's a straightforward story, except the groom is delayed. How long does it take this groom to return? The bridesmaids are waiting and waiting. And That's what this story is about. It's not about planning. It's not about being smart. It's not about being prepared. It's a story about hope. It's about hope even after we have waited so long that the hope seems foolish. It's about not giving up on the promises that God has made. It happens every day at our preschool and our child and family development center. Moms and dads drop off the treasure of their hearts with the teachers for the day. I'll be back, they say. And the hallways in September can be filled with weeping and gnashing of teeth as little ones are abandoned by their parents. I'll be back. Don't cry. I'll be back, they say. And sure enough, by the end of the day, Mom has come back just like she promised. We actually have a very high percentage of parents who return to get their children at the end of the day. What is happening is parents are training their children to trust. When I tell you I'll return, I'll return. And you know, children learn to trust that. And when they do, they march right into class and they say, "See you later, Mom. See you later, Dad." Then the strangest thing happens. 12 years passed, and those precious little children grow up and they get their driver's license. And the same lesson now has to be taught, except now the child is the teacher and the parent is the student. "Remember your curfew time," I said. "I know, Dad." That's teenager language for, "I'll be back. Don't worry. I'll come back. You don't have to cry. I'll be back." My own kids, when they were driving in those curfew times, I don't remember a time they were ever late for curfew, not once that I recall. But what I know is it would only have taken one time and there would have been conversation, there would have been consequences. Because the only way to survive the away time is if we can trust the return. For we know what happens to us when the return is delayed. We begin to doubt, to second guess. Something has happened. Is he coming back at all? It's harder to maintain hope when the return is delayed. There you are, a bridesmaid on the edge of town with the lamp you'll never have to light because this groom's not coming back. That's what they were thinking. That's what this parable is about. Jesus promised the day would come when life would be as God intends it. That day will come when those who mourn are comforted. The day will come when the meek will inherit the earth. The day will come when those who give their lives for peace will be seen by everyone as God's children. But that day's not now. And we're still waiting. And what Jesus knows is when we wait, sometimes we doubt. So what he says is, carry the oil, because someday you'll need to light that lamp. If I understand this text, Jesus is calling us to be a people who live that hope, to carry oil, to live the hope that one day we'll all need to light our lamps because that celebration parade can be trusted. He calls us to be a people who strive to structure our communities in ways that are fair because we believe someday justice will roll down like waters. To be a people who question the easy choice of violence and seek to live nonviolently because we trust someday swords will be beaten into plowshares. To be a people who love God's children, all of God's children, because we believe someday the growling noises of children's hungry bellies will be replaced with the musical songs of table blessings. Life is not a tale told by an idiot. It is a wonder created by a God who chose in Jesus Christ to dwell in the midst of it and to lead all of life, to a new day. And that day is coming. And here's what I know. When we live today in small ways, that we trust that ultimate day will come. That day begins to show up here and now. So the question this parable asks of us is, how does that hope show up in your life?